Hello. Alright, today I'm finally getting around to making muskrat lure. Long distance muskrat call. I've been waiting to do this for a while. Actually, I haven't been waiting, I just haven't had time. Very easy to make. You can get everything you need right at your local store. This right here. First thing you need, any cheap brand toothpaste. Take this, open it right up. This is just an empty container. You're going to take this toothpaste and you're going to squeeze all of this right into this tube, or out of this tube into this container. Alright, this is that one. And you don't have to get two, you can just do one. That's what you want to do. I'm going to put two. I don't typically use a lot of lure, as I've said in most of my videos, but I probably will use a little bit this year. So, a couple of tubes of toothpaste. Probably going to wish my container was a little bit bigger when I'm done. Alright, there's that. Next thing you're going to need, or you're going to want, is peppermint oil or peppermint extract. You can also use spearmint. They're both really, really good, and they're both really effective. This is a 2-ounce bottle. I'm not going to put the whole bottle in here, but we're going to use, well, we'll see, because we want to make this a consistent paste. Yep, hello to you too. Alright, so let's go with that. So you got peppermint extract. Got a little bit of glycerin too, and the only reason I'll put that in, and I may not even use it at all with this, would be to make it a little bit more liquidy. But next I have crushed apple, and a lot of people buy this to mix with food to feed deer or whatnot. Whoops, that is not what I wanted to happen right there, but oh well. So I got about a tablespoon I'm going to put, and I'll probably dump this everywhere. I'm sure of it. Actually, we'll put that in there like that. I'm going to put this cover on. Shake this up. Let's see what we get. Alright, let's grab a stick. Mix this up a little bit more. There we go, that's better. Yep, you can really smell that. I might put just a touch more apple in it. And maybe a dab of glycerin, I'm not sure yet. It's actually pretty consistent with what I like to have for a paste. So if I put a little bit more apple in there, we'll actually thicken it up a little bit more. Yeah, it's going to be really good. Chickens are happy, or unhappy, I guess, however you want to look at it. So opening day is tomorrow, and I just spent, I don't know, 2 hours or so getting traps ready, loaded the truck. I plan on putting out a lot of traps tomorrow. Gonna be all roadside. There'll be nothing in the kayak tomorrow. Monday, I believe we'll be going out in the kayak. Yeah, let's put some more. I'm gonna put a little bit more apple in there. And let's put. I'm gonna dab. I don't have that open yet. Take this off. Yep, take that off. Try that. Now let's mix it up and see what we get. Might put a dab of peppermint oil back in here as well. Yep, we're going to do that. Put a little bit more of this. Oops. There we go. Yep. A lot of guys probably wouldn't use as much peppermint oil or spearmint oil or whatever it is that you're using, but I like a good strong smell. And this stuff works really well. It knows it works good. Set that right there. Yep, there it is, guys, right there. That's all there is to it. Simple, and it works really well. So, there's muskrat lure. All right, I'm gonna switch gears here in a minute. Let's go ahead and make some beaver lure. We'll do that here in a minute. All right, let me get my gear and we'll get set up for that. All right, let's make some beaver bait, beaver lure. So, first thing you're going to need obviously is going to be beaver caster and oil sacks. These are cut from a couple of the beaver I caught a couple of days ago. They've been drying for I think 3 days now, which is about average for me when I dry these and make my own bait. You're going to need a small food processor. Don't use the one that your wife or your girlfriend has in the kitchen. You'll probably be sleeping outside if you do that. An empty container, obviously, to put your product in when you're done. I've got glycerin and also sodium benzoate. The sodium benzoate will help keep it stable so that it doesn't rot or anything like that. Glycerin also does the same thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is try not to throw it on the ground. Okay, your oil sacks are up in here. I'm just going to leave these all together. What I'm going to do is just take a knife. Oh, I wish I had a sharper one than that, but okay, we're going to do that. The oil sacks are going to, you want all that right in there with those. With your caster. Alright, let's do that. Squeeze that out. I'm probably going to make a mess all over my board here, but that's alright. That's what I got it out here for anyway. Yep. Alright, so now let's take this. I'm going to cut this up into smaller pieces. Yep, definitely smells like beaver caster. And for any of you that use a lot of beaver lure, a container that size, if you go and buy it at a Trapper's Rendezvous or a Trapper Convention, or even if you order it online, you're going to pay anywhere between $20 and $30 for a container like that. So this doesn't take very long to do, and it works really well. Alright, let's go. I think we'll just do that one for right now. I haven't used this in a long time, so. Do that, blend it up really well. Yep, it's looking pretty good. And the chunk, you'll have chunks in it, which is okay. I mean, you'll want some of that anyway. And this obviously isn't a, it's not a high dollar food processor by any means, but it gets the job done. I paid $10 for this, so all the lure I've made with it, it has actually saved me money in the long run. Yeah, there's going to be some big chunks in here, but that's alright. Uh-oh. You stop working. But I think what happened was, and I don't want to stick this in there too far. Yep, let's keep those out of there. Yep, that got stuck underneath the blade. Woo! That almost hit me right in the face. Come on. Yep, that's stuck in there pretty good. Gonna work now. There we go. That's way better. Much more better. I'll put a little bit more glycerin in it. Come on. Yep. Getting better. Probably almost time for a new processor too. Let's scoop that up. Not that that really made that much of a difference, but alright, I'm going to clean this out of here. And we're going to chop it up some more. Yeah, it's looking a lot better. Alright. I've got more beaver castor that I saved from last year. It's in the freezer. I haven't bothered to take it out yet. I will at some point. But for now, and the purposes of making this video, I just wanted to have a couple handy to show you guys how I do it. Very, very simple to make. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna, yep, it's getting a little warm. I'm gonna take this out. Those chunks, I actually don't mind having those. They put off a lot of odor, and That's what you want. You want a good strong smell when you're trying to entice beaver to think that another beaver is basically invading their territory. So, alright, there's that one. I'm going to put some more glycerin in there, quite a bit of it actually. That. Then I want to take these off. And that's the caster right here. This greenish yellow. That's the actual caster that you're grinding up. Boy, that knife is absolutely not going to hurt anything, I'll tell you that. Get those in there. I don't think that. There's not really a whole lot left in that. This is the other oil sack. Yep. I'm going to drain that out. I'm not going to throw that in there this time. Let's put a little bit of glycerin in there. Yep. About that much, yep. My hands are all greasy. Yeah, that's looking way better. Can't pick it up. Yep. Good stuff to catch the beaver. I went to a place yesterday that I haven't trapped. I trapped there last year, but it was just way too much snow and ice by the time I got there, and I really couldn't, I didn't catch anything, and I didn't really put a lot of, I only had a few traps up there. But I went in there yesterday in open water, and absolutely amazing. There were 3 added beaver huts where I normally trap on the middle part of the swamp, and there's always only been 1. And I didn't even get to the upper part of the swamp where I wanted to go. I ran out of traps. I only took 5, but I wasn't really sure what I was going to run into. But that video's coming out. It probably already is out by the time you see this. Alright, I like that. So there we go. That's... I'm gonna... Yep, let's grab this. stick, I guess. Now I know some guys will put, I don't know, they'll put a few drops of peppermint oil or spearmint oil or whatever. I mean, things like that. I don't do that, only because muskrat are already attracted to beaver lure and scents anyway. And if you're putting, in a sense, you're putting the muskrat call mixed in with your beaver lure, it's only going to call them even more. I don't want that. Now, you could probably put like a poplar bud oil or something like that in here to mix with it. That might help. That's a liquid food lure. But other than that, I don't do anything but just this. I'm going to mix this up. Alright, like that. And I'm going to put like a tablespoon. I'm going to take this off because, yeah, I'm going to get it out anyway, apparently. Oops, alright. Yep, this does not want to come off. We're going to put some of this on here. I'm going to leave this out in the shed anyway. And this will help keep it stable so that it doesn't rot or get moldy or whatever. And this is just sodium benzoate. I'm going to put like a tablespoon in there with that. Close this back up because I would probably dump this all over the ground. And I don't want to do that. And just mix that right in there with it. It doesn't change your scent. It doesn't do anything. It just prevents it from going bad. And that is an absolute rugged smelling beaver lure right there. And that's all there is to that. Do that. Put your cover on. Mark it beaver lure. We'll put that with our muskrat lure. And alright, I'm going to clean this up. Well, actually, I'm just going to get this out of the way. And I'm going to show you next how I make mink and raccoon lure. So we'll get set up for that. So we're going to make mink and raccoon lure now. This stuff's really cheap to get. You can get it at the dollar store. Chub mackerel, a can of sardines, a can of oysters, and a container to mix it up in. A can opener here. Alright, let's do this. And hopefully this camera angles down where it needs to be. Alright. You're going to keep everything right in there. All the juice, all the mackerel and everything right in there. There's that. Take your sardines. Same thing. Leave the juice and everything right in there. Pour it into your bowl. Like that. Take your oysters. And do the same thing with these. And I'm just going to take this and just kind of mash these up. And you could probably put these into a food processor too if you really wanted to. I mean, I don't think you need to. They're pretty tender already anyway. Mash that right up as good as you can or as good as you want, depending on how big of bait chunks you actually want. And it really doesn't matter because we're going to make this into a pretty thick paste. So right there. Normally I put flour in here too, and I probably should have brought a little bit out with me. But that's, whoop. We're going to put some sodium benzoate in here too. I'm going to throw 2 tablespoons of that in there. That'll help it from, so that it don't rot and things like that. Same nature as the, for the beaver lure that we just made. Yeah, I wish it was a little bit thicker, but I'm not going to go get flour to mix in here. Normally you can. That's what a lot of people do. They mix flour in with this to thicken it up just a little bit. I'm not going to do that. I think this is going to be alright. I might put 1 more tablespoon of this in here. Yeah, really windy out today. Very windy out. 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts. It's supposed to die down tonight. Hopefully it does. So tomorrow's going to be great. It's going to be epic. I don't care if the wind blows at all or not. Just to get out and put traps out. I'm happy to do that. Alright, so that's mixed up like that. And I'm going to take, this is just a flame tick container from the dogs, cleaned it all out. And that's probably all we can fit in here, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to fit. It's going to be close, but it's going to fit. Maybe. Maybe not. That's alright. I'll use the rest of this in the raccoon trap that I got down back. Yep, that's what I'll do with that little bit left right there. Alright. So there's that. Put this cover on. Oh, it's leaking a little bit. That's alright, we'll wipe it off and take a little bit of that out. Yep. Put this back on. Yep, now wipe that off. Mink and coon lure. Beaver cast lure. Long distance muskrat lure. Perfect. You're probably going to pay, I don't know, $6 to $10 for that one. You're going to pay at least $20 for this one, being that size, maybe more. That's a little bit bigger than the containers that they have. And you're going to pay $12 to $15 for that. So the little bit that you spend to make your own, you're going to save money in the long run. You really are, especially on the beaver lure. If you're catching beaver and you're not saving the casters making your own lure, you're throwing money away. You really are. Especially if you use a lot of beaver lure. So, there it is in a nutshell. That's how I do it. That's how I make it. They all work really well. Pretty cheap to make. And you'll see us out tomorrow. We're going to be using all this stuff tomorrow. So, alright, that's going to do it for now. I wanted to show you guys how I make my lure. Alright, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. YBB, I'm out.